Okay, so I think we have 2 minutes more to go. So I'd like to engage our speakers before the time. Okay, so where are you joining us from, Lippy? Which country are you joining us from?
Hi, I'm joining from UK.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Okay, I see you've shared your screen.
Yeah, I was trying to, let me stop sharing.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yes, before we begin, okay, you are going to co-share with uh, Sri Kumar, or you are going to start first and uh, he continues second. Yes. Okay, so I would like to officially start the program now. So thank you everyone from joining us wherever you may be. I'm glad to be your host for today. It's much awaited event and I'm glad we've been joined by our renowned and honored speakers, experts I call them. Today we are honored to host Lipis Saka. She will be introducing herself today, so I will not do much for the introduction. We will also be joined by Sri Kumar Nair and then Samit Sani, if I get the pronunciation right. Okay, good. So the event is digital transformation with Microsoft Teams and Power Platform. And as you all know, we are in the age of digital transformation, and it's very insightful to get experts like these joining us to share their experience and knowledge. And I'm most honored today to be your host here in Ghana, Accra. So without much ado, I would leave the platform to our able speakers to introduce themselves and then to begin the show. Over to you, Lippy.
Thank you, Anis. That was really a pleasure and really glad to be part of this Microsoft user group, Ghana. And let me present my screen and then we'll start it shortly. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. So yes, so I am Lippy Sake. I'm Digital Transformation Director at CloudSource. I help organizations to achieve their digital transformation vision, either in public sector or private sector. I'm also co-author of the book Building a Digital Future, which is a transformational guide with Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. And I have been doing this for last 15 to 20 years, working with organizations, talking about how we can digitally transform. Obviously, those days, digital transformation was not referred as digital transformation, which has this phrase has come up really recently now. But we'll talk about that in our session in more details. Over to you, Shri.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Sri Kumar Nair, and happy to be here with this group. Very excited to talk to Lippy and Samit, and definitely will be happy to show you some Power Apps demo, and we'll have fun talking to both of you guys.
Thank you, Shri. And Samit, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. Hello, my name is Sam Saini and I work for London Heathrow Airport. I would like to say thank you to everyone who's organised this, and I'm glad to be here. So thank you so much. I'm also the solution specialist, now Power Platform SME at Heathrow Airport as well. So today I'll be talking about my transformation as well today. So thank you again. I'm looking forward to today.
Thank you, Samit. So with that, I'm really excited to talk about digital transformation, and along with that, with Shri and Samit, we will make this a session very interactive. And if you have any questions, please add your comments and in the chat window, and we'll try to answer your questions. So the agenda will be more about digital transformation. What is digital transformation, and why does it matter now? Then we'll talk about the bottlenecks and issues of the organization or the business that usually they go through, and how do you go about it with the solution platform in place. Then we talk about the frameworks, how you can identify where you are in the journey of digital transformation, and how do you measure success, and how the Power Platform can help. And finally, towards the end, we will have a demo from Sri to talk about the Power Platform. Okay, so to start with digital transformation, from our side, I'm talking about more from how you can integrate the digital technologies into your existing business operating model and improve your business operating model to bring in either the business operational efficiencies or to improve the customer experience or providing services to your existing customer channel using different channels or bringing a new business model, or maybe you want to target a new growth strategy. So that's what we are bringing in, and you can look into digital transformation from different lenses. With currently African continental free trade agreement, I think there are a lot of digital transformation that might be coming through. You will see that within your business. If you are currently part of that, you will see that in your business as well. Or if you want to take some insights from today's session and want to discuss that in more details, happy to go through that in later. But please bring your questions in this session. So why now? We have been talking about digital transformation. It's not that we are just talking about today. Digital transformation was there in the organization vision and mission, that they want to make the digital technologies into their current business operating model. But with COVID-19 crisis, the acceleration of digitalization has been it's enormous, because we have seen 2 years of digital transformation has been packed in 2 months. Whether it was in their strategy for like next 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, it has just brought in forward because the organization wanted to carry on with their businesses and in the global pandemic crisis. So, but the other elements of, the why you need to do now is to stay competitive, upgrading your old IT infrastructure into your new one, maybe, and with the new forms of technologies. With recently, it's also about the meeting compliances, regulatory or cybersecurity. And then the cloud computing is also, which gives you a scalable and agile ways of working, which is a critical IT infrastructure that helps your business to improve your business operating model and to be there and to try to drive a new model as well. So to meet the regulatory compliances, to speed up and the agility of the customer services, that's why it is kind of considered very important these days to bring your digital transformation in your strategy, in your organization vision. So we recently, while we were doing this session, we recently ran a survey just to find out what you want to hear from us, what you understand from the digital transformation. And I think quite a key important factors that came in from the survey is about lack of transparency within the organization. And which I mean by maybe there are processes, the business processes are there, business processes might not be very streamlined, but it's also about the transparency of the business processes. Where does it lie and how does it work? When you bring in new people or new team within the organization, how much of time does it take for the induction of the new business processes? Then the cyber threats and the security breaches, this has also come up quite high up in the agenda, because this is another factor which businesses faces quite often. Disruption, again, is quite very key, because with disruption, it can be coming from any factors really, whether it's with the technology or whether it's a new ways of working. Disruption has been there, and with pandemic, new disruption, new operating model has come into place. Speed of digital delivery, by that it's more about how the digital team works together, whether they are co-located, collaborative ways of working, and the way the deliveries are done, and with such a speed, whether the organization are keeping up with that digital delivery. That is also another important challenge that business faces. Then we talk about the myriads of data. The organization might be having different systems, different incumbents working through those different systems, and hence their data from different legacy systems. It's a myriad of data. How do you marry up all the data to make that informed decision? That is also, it's quite time consuming. Sometimes a lot of manual efforts are taken to manipulate the data in such a way so that you can make up some informed decisions. Then on the other side, the legacy systems may be very highly customized, which might be driving lots of cost for the organization. That could be another business challenge that you might be facing. Ways of working. And recently we talk about agile ways of working, different ways of working, and how we bring in all different ways of working that works for the organization. Not necessarily that agile ways of working might be working very fluid in a very streamlined way with the organization, but bring in that agile principles and make that work for the organization. That is quite key. Integrating those two ways of working is very important, and sometimes there lies some gaps, and that's another business challenge we have seen. Then you have also said, some of you said that the skills gap within the organization, and absolutely the skills gap is quite pertinent, and you need to identify the skills gap and identify how much measure, what time it takes to upskill your team, or what can you do about that. Then finally, the user adoption. We'll come to that in terms of how you measure the user adoption, but that is quite key. Sometimes this is also another business challenge that you might have gone for a different system, but the organization, the adoption might not have happened. So what can we do to help that user adoption? So if you have any questions, please do ask any questions if any of this resonate to your current businesses. But we will carry on. If you don't have a question, we'll carry on. But if you do have a question, please raise that. So we want to see that from the digital transformation point of view of what is a framework. So now how you can identify where you are within the organization. You can take like this 5 cornerstone of digital transformation. What we are talking about is first the strategic shift, whether the strategy of digital transformation is part of your vision, as part of that 3 years growth strategy, 5 years growth strategy. It is there. Can you see that in your organization strategy piece? Do you know the business benefit your digital transformation will deliver? If not, please identify those business benefits. Then cultural shift. Do you know what is exactly the prevailing culture within the organization? And everyone exhibits that kind of culture. What should we stop doing or start doing? Can you identify those? What kind of culture you are part of and what can be changed? If not, what can be retained? Identify the strengths and weaknesses of your organization by that. Then shift in people's mindset. Once you have identified where you want to go with your transformation journey, identify the strength within the organization in terms of the skill sets, baseline and map your skill set. You can do that in a different way. Do the talent profile, succession plan, identify the softer skills within the organization, identify what are the gaps, look internally, and identify what strengths can you bring in from the skill set side of things, and setting the expectation in your digital transformation journey. Then the other factor is about the processes, and in processes, are the processes transparent to the employees? How many email conversation does it need actually to complete your business processes, or how many Excel spreadsheets that need to be manipulated to come up with an informed decisions? Once you have identified all of these factors, the main important part is the governance and control. So to keep everything in control, you need to have the governance, and that should not be part of just the framework piece of things, but it's ensuring that everything is running like a well-oiled machine. So the governance should not be a hindrance, but it should be making it smooth, and transition, the digital transformation should be very a smooth journey for the organization. And identifying all the business strategies aligned with your program team objectives and the business benefits. So those 5 cornerstones, look at from this point of view, the processes and innovation, that is a key part. Streamline your business processes and build a continuous innovation in your digital transformation journey. Identify what kind of technology will help in terms of what you want to mitigate, what business benefits you want to bring. Cloud flexibility and scalability and agility is all there, and we'll talk about that in more details. Data and analytics, keep your data current, execute the data cleansing, those sort of things that need to be done periodically. And then we talked about the business and culture. And then finally, the engagement, which is more about get your users, the business users, very much from the very beginning to talk about, communicate very frequently about what changes you're bringing in, and identify and bring them in the journey in terms of skill sets and mapping them and strengthening their skill set to be the part of the whole digital transformation journey, which helps towards the end for the user adoption. Here we wanted to talk about more about the digital maturity for you to understand moving from traditional to transformed, whether it's operational efficiency or whether it's a customer experience. Digital transformation can be mapped in 3 different levels, and an organization can be in any different level, or it can be in between 2 different levels as well. So it's not a strict way to follow, it's just a way to map your digital maturity within the organization. So stage 1, your digital assets and optimizing the existing IT, that could be one option. You wanted to go to stage 1, move the existing infrastructure to the cloud. Then if you have already done that, then go take that digital experience a further level up, which is optimizing the current business model, optimize your business processes. And once you have already done that piece, then move on to the next level of digital transformation, where you create new target operating model. You might be in any of the level, or when you're having a digital transformation journey, you might want to go at the level 3, but don't try to bring everything in at one point in time. It's always useful to bring that continuous innovation in your journey so that you can have the quick wins for the businesses, deliver some quick wins, and bringing all the user along with the journey that helps your digital transformation move smoothly from one to another, A to B, really. Take a little pause here, if any questions.
Yeah, I think there is one question which reached me. They were asking that how do you measure kind of the threat score or the cyber risk against the organization as a whole? I mean, how do you measure this risk if you are moving to digital, cloud, or trying to digitize your environment? How do you measure the risk in there?
That's a very good question, Ernest, and I'll pass that on to Sri and Samit, what they have identified from their organization. And I think from the cybersecurity point of view, in terms of measuring that risk, identify whether it's a regulatory compliances and how transparent is it, and with the GDPR, how much of the information are shared, and what can you do about that? So that is to identify those kind of areas and then have a periodic measurement of what you're doing about it. That would be from my point of view. Sri and Samit, would you like to chip in?
Absolutely. When it comes to the threats and everything, what we do at Heathrow is making sure that if you're building anything, it's in line with what we want. So if we don't know much about the product, for example, the Power Platform at the beginning, we were making sure we don't build anything that inflicts with GDPR. You're building the simple apps. You're building the low-hanging fruits, something that is quick and easy but can show value. And for us, that was at the beginning where we did want to make sure that we are not causing any cyber risks or any GDPR risks as well. So we had to make sure that we are viewing things at the same time, but also making sure that we have to look within and say what kind of stage are we at to look at those bigger apps and so on. And that's why we made sure that when we started our journey, we're making sure that we build quick and simple apps and nothing that inflicts with cyber or GDPR apps.
Yeah, so I think just to expand on that, the GDPR portion touches on the privacy aspect of it. If you're looking at a holistically reviewing the security posture of your organization, I would start with taking the inventory of resources that are at risk, like to look at what are the data sources where my business critical data is sitting, and then look at what are the attack vectors that are possible through network, through internal actors who might be one of your disgruntled employee or something like that, and then look at the probability of risk, like how often do you see this being breached. So you could have other scanning tools deployed to make sure that What are the kind of indicators that are telling you that somebody's trying to break in? So a lot of things are at play here. Security is it's a huge universe in itself. If you want to do a holistic threat score or cyber risk, that for I believe, Ernest, you'll have to call us for another session on that.
Yes, sure. Okay, good. All right.
Thank you, Anis. And so keep this discussion coming, and any more questions, let us know. We'll carry on.
Okay, all right.
So in terms of the key performance indicators, so we have to think about from the perspective of not just measuring the cost, but also measuring the customer engagement, measuring the growth matrix, whether it's sales or revenue. And most important factor is about the employees' retention and employees' empowerment. So any of the solution, how is it actually empowering the employees to do a better business, whether it's internally or giving a better customer experiences, which is looking externally. So using legacy system, identify all these metrics using your current existing legacy systems, and then try to measure that with Dynamics 365 or Power Platform and with your new target operating model, whether the cost is going down and the other factors are going up. And it's not a measure from day one, but it is a continuous measure that you would have to see how you're performing with month one after you have moved on to your different platform. With your new digital transformation factors built in, and in your journey, keep on measuring from month to month or quarter to quarter. That will help you to drive those factors high. With that, I hand over to Shri to talk about Power Platform.
Yeah, thank you, Lippy. That was wonderful here. So let's introduce the Power Platform concept. I believe most of you must be familiar with this Power Platform. The Power Platform is basically a low-code, no-code platform that enables users and organizations to quickly latch onto the digital transformation journey. And what is inside the box here is basically a suite of products that includes Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents. And as the slide demonstrates, the Power BI can be used to build business analytics. Power Apps can be used to make apps. Power Automate can be used to build intelligent process automations. And then Power Virtual Agents are basically how do you make chatbots, right? So all of this, the biggest pull, or I would say the attraction here, is all of this can be done with very less amount of training to get started. The interesting portion, as Lippy was alluding to, the biggest blockers of transformation has been training, upskilling the employees. And one of the promises of this platform is there is very little time that you need to start learning about it and building applications. And then, of course, at the center of all of this applications and that we talked about is Dataverse, basically, which is the data platform where you can actually trust enterprise level, business critical data. And as we were also saying, it's just a low code, no code platform, but at the same time, professional developers can also build full-fledged enterprise scale applications with professional coding languages as well using our SDK and API on Dataverse. So sky's the limit, as we say, and as you can see on the side, Dynamics 365 applications, which is the first class Microsoft applications for all the business needs of CRM and ERP applications, is also built on the same Power Platform. It leverages Dataverse along with some of the Power Apps and Power Automate for building applications and automating even internally within these applications. All right. Questions? Any questions, comments on this one? I'm happy to take them.
Okay, there is one question I would like to ask myself. So, in going through the transformation stages, is there how is the model like in terms of training? Most people love to know or abreast themselves with a skill. Let's say they want to do some business process in Power Apps or Power Automate. But we see here in our context that there is not a clearly defined training schedule to really put these people in charge of business processes. So how does the technology help curve this stage in terms of equipping or upscaling the skills of the staff or business side of things?
Yes, so I think that's a great question here, right? One, training cannot be ruled out totally, right? It cannot be eliminated. But what you're trying to do is digital transformation. The pressure to get things moving faster on organization is tremendous these in this era, right? As you must have seen in the last pandemic, or actually current pandemic, we are not yet out of it.
Exactly.
We are going through a transformation phase for a lot of businesses. Businesses that didn't transform just perished overnight because they couldn't survive with their business. But given that kind of pressure, how much time do you want to spend on training is depending on how deep the pockets of the organization are. How much time do you have to train the entire organization on a new language that they will build IT applications and everything? But imagine not all the users are coding experts who will build and transform everything. That's where the power of Power Platform comes in to say you can have a lot of transformation, mini transformations happening within the small departments and organizations. And Sumit here is actually a good example of how he's achieved some of that, right? His CEO or his CTO must have definitely supported him, but they did not lay out the blueprint that Sumit for next 6 months you're going to go train on this one and then come back and say I'm ready for digital transformation. That doesn't happen. Sumit, maybe you want to chime in and add something here.
Yeah, absolutely. There was when I was learning the Power Platform, I still remember it as it's yesterday. There was no training guide of you got to learn this to become an expert or anything. I just went straight to a blog, and you had the step-by-step guide how to build an app. I knew about PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, but the formulas that they were using for the Power Apps were so simple, and I wasn't thinking. I was just learning. Like anything. You just want to learn something. You was curious. One thing led to another. I was looking for a structure in learning, which we got so many now. So many. If you go to Microsoft Learn, there's a structured learning now of how to learn each of those platforms that Shree's talked about. But before then, I was just going on blogs. I was going on YouTube channels, and because of COVID, so many people have uploaded so many videos about each of those platforms, and that you can learn today for free. Absolutely. If you're curious about seeing something, it could be the platform, it could be cooking, anything is available for you to learn. It's just curiosity. That's your first step. And for me, that was it. I didn't when I was working, none of my job titles or job description says I'm going to be an app maker. It was just a curiosity to say, you know what, Power Apps is free in our company. I have to just log in. Okay, there's a blog that if you go to my Power App Studio, there's a blog there to say this is how you can create an app today. And he told me it will take me 5 minutes to make.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Is those things that are available. It's curiosity, and I think if you don't sometimes you don't rely on other people. Do it for yourself. Sometimes the digital transformation starts with you. So
Okay. All right. That's great. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
and
it's
and
out
I'm,
there.
I'm and I'm going
Okay.
to say every one of you can be chief curiosity officer. You can give yourself that title.
I, I like that. I really like that. Yes, Chief Curiosity Officer. That's great one. Okay. All right. So continue, please.
Yeah, let's move on, Lipe, from here. Yeah, so now what has happened over last during the pandemic, we all went back to working from home and stuff like that. But what has happened is we saw our world shifted from working with teams to working inside of teams as we are doing now, right? Like, so teams has become more and more the place where we live and breathe every day now. So what it has done is Microsoft has looked at this opportunity and said, you have Power Platform, which enables you to do all this rich app development and automation capabilities. You have teams where you're collaborating with team. Let's bring these two things together and let's see how we can marry them together in such a way that your productivity and collaboration kind of is put on steroids literally, because that's what we have done with Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. So what happens there is Teams and Power Platform have come together. Inside of your Teams itself, now you can build applications, create automations, create chatbots and everything inside of your teams itself. You can create them, publish them so that your teams can benefit both as an app maker and both as an app consumer inside of a small team to big team or whatever, even for the organization level. Without leaving the team's canvas, you can achieve much more than what was possible earlier inside of the team. So teams just got much more richer because it's got the power of Power Platform, I would say. Right. And then, of course, all the governance and administrative capabilities of Power Platform are still very much there with Teams as well. So nothing's changing. It's just you can think about it as a lightweight Power Platform packed inside of a Teams. And I would say do not underestimate when I say lightweight. It's just for lightweight from a perspective of governance and probably the storage sizes and stuff that you probably don't have to worry about when you're starting your journey. Okay. I'm looking at the questions here. Power Platform process, do you need move from Power BI to the last? Do you mind interpreting that question for me, Ernest?
Yes, actually, I wanted to get clarification from Fred. Fred, if you can hear me, the question is not really clear to me. So if you don't mind, you can raise your hands or come again with the question. So I unmute you to ask the question. So if you can hear me or if you want to clarify with your question. Okay, I think we can move on whilst
Okay,
you get
I'll try to interpret his question. I think he's looking at the previous slide. If you go back, Libby, just a minute.
Oh, okay.
If you go back to the previous slide here, not the one, yeah, here, it's just not showing a process of going from left to right. It is basically showing you a full bouquet of things or a suite of products that you can pick from depending on your needs. If you have analytics need, and if you want to analyze your data, as you can see on the flywheel diagram on the right side, you can use Power BI. If you want to automate something, then you will pick Power Automate. If you want to act and make applications to collect information, as you will see in the demo, you will use Power Apps. But if you want to build something where people ask repeated questions about the same thing and you're just bored of giving the same answer on emails, you will rather build a chatbot to give that answer, like, hey, what are the store hours? Are you available in office? And all those kind of repeated questions that you get, you can actually automate them through Power Virtual Agent. It's like you having your own Alexa or you having your own Siri deployed for yourself that will solve and answer repeated questions for you. Yeah, and it is not a process. It's basically the whole thing. As we said, we are not prescribing you that you start from left and go to right. You can start from anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. Okay.
Okay. Let's move on. Yeah, and we were on this slide. I think we covered a little bit already while speaking through what the Power Platform offers you, right? Culture and training. It allows you to get started with the low code, no code, and the culture is the important thing, right? The culture eats strategy for breakfast. The saying is always there, and as Samit was saying, the culture here is about developing people's curiosity, how people are curious about learning more. It's not about knowing it all. It is about learning it all. Be ready to learn more. Even after training for 6 months, you think you know it all, then you are probably the biggest stupid in the world, right? Because technology is changing every day. You need to keep learning, right? So the culture needs to be about learning, embracing failures, and then reviving from that failure, and then kind of moving forward and doing digital transformation in steps, in smaller sprints will actually give you much more results, and you'll be able to measure success rather than trying to do big projects that run for 6 months and then you don't know what happened. What you started with is not what you end up with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and measuring progress, as we said, there is inbuilt analytics as well, which I'll try to show you while you're doing these automations and stuff on how are people adopting the things that you're building. Are they really using it? And then if there are problem areas, you can actually go find out why they are not using it and stuff like that. So those will be interesting to see. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. With that, we want to bring in Sumit and to talk about Sumit's day-to-day job, and then we will move on to the demo.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is me in 2018. So I've been working as a security guard for more than 13 years. So this was my day-to-day job. If you ever go into any airport, you'll see a security guard who would ask, "Could you please, can I please see your ticket, or can I please see your if you have any liquids, laptops, and iPads?" I'll be that officer to make sure that you're flying and you have a safe journey. So that was my day-to-day job. Left school when 16, and I thought this will be an ideal place to work. The Heathrow Airport is a small city. You know, it's so many people. It's a great airport, and also this is where I met my wife as well. So, and it's been 11 years since we've been together.
Wow.
But it's honestly, if you ever worked in an airport, it is a city, and it's great to be there. But I felt like my skills would be fit for working at the airport. But when we had a business change manager, and her name was Cornwall, she introduced the Office 365, and she was talking about all these applications available to us that we never were available to us before, but they were available to other people in the offices. But she said, look, Outlook, because we didn't even have a work email. We were using our own email addresses. We was using our own personal email address, like Hotmail or Gmail. But now she said, look, you got Outlook. You can log in and you can email your managers using your Outlook. But also she goes, look, we've got all these fantastic tools, Teams, Forms, Sway, all these applications. Go check it out. So I used to work on late shifts. So I used to start at 2 and finish at 10:30. And after I finished my shift, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna check out these applications. And I looked at each one of those applications, and I looked into Power Apps, because it says Power Apps, and I'm thinking, app sounds like a good thing. What is this new tool? Clicked on Power Apps, and there's a blog. I clicked on that blog, and it said you can create an app in 5 minutes, and that's what I did. All I had to do was open up the Power App Studios. I had to open up Excel, create columns, name columns, save it to OneDrive, go to the Power App Studios, find the saved Excel spreadsheet, and click create. When I clicked that little button, it started to create the app within less than 2 minutes. Now I can submit stuff from the app straight to Excel spreadsheet. And then Heathrow, we were using Excel spreadsheet. And I'm like, all right, now this sounds good. We don't have to go directly to Excel. We could actually use the phone. But I didn't tell anyone at the time, because even when I was an officer, I had ideas to how to help Heathrow, and some ideas worked. Some ideas they said no, it costs too much money and so on. So I really wanted to build something. I really wanted to build something to showcase that Power Apps is great. So I built a language app, and if you go to the next page, I don't know if we could, if I don't think I have control, but if you go to the next one, yeah. Here I was able to build this within less than a week. I took the book home. So we got a language book. So if you're flying to Heathrow, you might not understand English. English might not be your first language, and you might not know the rules. So we have to use a book, and no one can carry the book with them. It's behind the machine. So if your bag gets rejected, we have to show you the book. My idea was that instead of building, having a book, let's have an app. But IT said no, it costs too much money, and we don't think it's feasible. So I took the book home, scanned the pages, and made the app. And it was easy, because like PowerPoint, how you put images into PowerPoint, I was putting images into this app. I was putting buttons. So like in PowerPoint, you've got hyperlink. I was adding buttons to navigate to one page to another. I wasn't using any coding at all, just to flip pages in an app, which is brilliant. But I wasn't finished. I wanted to show what else it can do. So I connected this app to Microsoft Translator, one of the connectors. So when I type, it translates. Then I wanted to add a bit more, so I added audio. So when you type, it speaks the language. And then I wanted to add a bit more, because I was learning it. The more I was learning, the more I was adding value to the app, the more I was having fun. I added videos. So I asked my colleagues, could you make a video of your language, and we'll put it into the app. Built the app, showed it to the manager, and I said, and the first thing he said is, who built this? I said, I built this. He goes, how much will it cost you? I said, it's not going to cost you anything. It's part of the license. So he introduced me to the business change manager, Como, and she goes, Samit, could you show this to the whole of Heathrow, different departments, health and safety, finance, and show them that someone like you, trust me, I'm not smart, but I could build. If I could build this, then anybody can build this. I was showing them how to build this, and they were like, "Why did you build this?" I said, "Because I was curious. I was really like." The blog said it takes you 5 minutes to read this, and I have difficulty reading and writing because I'm dyslexic, and they were like, "This is really good." 3 months later, when I showed this, they said, "Would you like to join the IT team?" Now I'm like, I haven't done my resume, my CV since I left school 16. I've got no qualifications, and I have trouble reading and writing. And she goes, "Damn it, I'm not looking into your education. I'm not looking into your experiences. The experience that you have is you can build something that no one at Heathrow is doing. You're showing value that you are bringing to Heathrow with the skills that you have. I'd love to have you in my team for 3 months and see what else you can do." Since then, I've been building apps, saving time, money, and paper, and saving money as well. A lot, because we never used to build apps internally. We used to pay third parties to build apps. So since then, the opportunity she gave me, I will never forget. Just because it took me 5 minutes to read something, and then I was teaching people. So if you go back now to the next page before, I've been teaching people that I'm not going to build apps for everyone at Heathrow. If I can do it, you can do it too. So I was teaching people within Heathrow, within different departments, to build their own applications. So because people like myself who work in the organization have great ideas, but sometimes it never gets heard. I have trouble articulating my ideas sometimes, and people might not think what I can vision. But now with Power Apps and the Power Platform, I can build a proof of concept. I can help people. The whole application helps you bring your ideas to reality, and your ideas not in the graveyard anymore. Most people's ideas are gone. They say when someone says to you it can't be done, it stays in the graveyard and never comes up again. But now we have an application that the Power Platform allows you to bring your ideas to reality, to show your proof of concept. So when we train people, it's not we don't just train them. What is your idea? What do you think can help our organization? Because you're in the front line. Doesn't matter what your background is, you all can play a part. Doesn't matter what your job title is or your job description is, you all can add value to your organization or to yourself, And the application, the business application that we have now can do that. So it's been really great to not just help people, but train them up and learn something new. So that's me.
I'd just like to chip in, Samit. It's a great example and a great case study in terms of what you have done for Heathrow. I think every organization, we were talking about digital transformation earlier, where many organizations have lots, myriads of data, and you can use Power Platform to bring that data and create an app, which can be cost saving, having an app, and make that business decision quick and easy.
Absolutely. I mean, whereas data was in paper before, where it would take them an average 2 days to, like the process that we had, it would take an average 2 days to input data from paper to Excel spreadsheet, and then end of the day you become, I mean, the data never gets used. But now with the application, you got Power BI, you got Power Automate to be more proactive than reactive, and we call these data gold now. I've been really lucky to work in an organization that really supports us in developing these things, but also showing what value it can bring as well. So yeah, absolutely agree, Lippy.
Thank you, Sumit. And with that, Shri will do a demo of Power Platform. So over to you, Shri.
Yeah, that's indeed a very wonderful story and amazing story, right? Extraordinary story. But you know what? You guys can all be Summit, and that's what we are trying to teach here. Like, and who is citizen developer? Any citizen, basically, just like you, in next 15 minutes will be a citizen developer. And I promise, if you haven't started that journey, today's the day that you go and start it, because that's the promise of the platform, right? So with that, let me just start sharing my screen. I'll try to share as much, but if you think I'm going fast, feel free to stop me and let me know when I should stop. Okay, let me
All
know
right.
when you can see the screen. I'll try to keep an eye on the questions as well meanwhile, but let me know when you're ready to see the screen here. So what I have here is just my trial tenant, regular Teams window that you see here with Teams and chats and stuff going on. Here, out there, if you have an Office license to start with, you can go look up for Power Apps and get all of this pinned, which is what I've already done. So it's asking me to unpin, but I already have this Power Apps here. And once you go and look at this Power Apps, you're going to look at the Build Hub, which is where the building experience starts. So what I'm going to show you is how to build your application to start with. This application could be anything that you would need in your teams in your day-to-day life, right? And how we can make this better is what I'm trying to show. So if you go and look at this build and build hub, if you're familiar with Power Platform, you must have already seen the make experience of make.powerapps.com, and you'll go to apps and start making those applications. It's very similar, but now remember, as I was saying, it's I need to refresh here. Something's gone. But this is where I will come and start making the same experience here with my build hub, and I will start creating these apps, and you can see the same experience starts to light up. The only difference is you're not leaving the Teams canvas. Let's go build up some tables here quickly. I will try creating tables first because obviously data is where everything starts. You could have data about like you want to go on a field trip or you want to go collect all the information about like a phone book so that you can look up your colleagues and stuff like that. So let's start with the phone book. I will not spend much time, but I wanted to quickly show you how you would build it in a few minutes here. You have advanced security. Somebody asked a question about security and all. This is first class security built into the system, even though the platform looks very low code, no code, but nothing on the enterprise side is compromised because behind it is still the enterprise grade applications that professional developers are also going to build on top of. So you can see you can track changes, you can enable auditing, you can see who accessed the data, change the data in the table and stuff like that. Let me go and create this phone book here just as an example. And once you do that, you will see you have I've already created a phone book here just so that I can save some time on the phone book here. But once you have the phone book created, you can go and quickly add your columns very much like what do you expect in a phone book? The first thing would be like, what do you say, employee name or something like that, right? And then here you will say, OK, that name is OK, it's a text. I don't think anyone has a name that is integer 1, 2, 3. So let's go start with that. Let's say I have something called as email. Look at the rich data that we already support, right? You can actually pick an email type so that we will do the basic validation if somebody gives an email that's not at the rate kind of a thing, right? And then you can have other advanced options like how long do you want to restrict and stuff like that. This is also possible here. Next, I want to say, OK, does it make sense if I have an email and name? I would need probably like an employee picture also. And then I will go put a picture of that person. And then here I can choose image as one of the options here. Do you see image here?
Yeah.
There it is. Right. And you can decide how much size. This is the max. You can actually keep it small as well if you want to save storage and stuff like that. Right. You do that. And then, of course, I wanted to show I don't want to say in a phone book you would have something like currency and all, but all of this is also supported here. Once you're done here, you will save the table. The table goes is created. It's very much like the Excel view that you would have a table, simple table with columns. Now with Dataverse that is sitting behind, which is the data platform, you can also build relationships behind it. Now, I will not go into the details of how to do one to many, many to one, like one student can take multiple courses. So you'll have a student table and course table and all that. That's like all the rich experiences that you can build here. But for simplicity, you can actually start going and looking at the table very much like the Excel view that you will have, right? And then you can start adding table right here. Let's take Ernest here and you will have, OK, Ernest is going to say something like ernst@hello.com. You will have an employee name. Yeah. This is employee. So this is actually the primary name of the column itself. So phone, every entity table that you will create, course, for example, it will automatically put a name for it. Here, probably I will use this to the benefit to say maybe I'll make it like a full name, right? And then here you will have image. Obviously from this view, you cannot add image, but just for simplicity, I wanted to show you like with just like an Excel thing, you can actually start entering data and your data is already loaded here, right? Now, once you have an Excel kind of a view, you just go quickly and start creating your apps. Remember, I told you I already had another phone book already created for you with all the data there. So just to give you an example, this is basically how it will look like, right? Uh, very similar to the table that I created. Now let's look at how quick it is to create the app here. Let's go create the phone book app. So what do you think so far? Is data updating data very different from Excel? Like as Samit was saying, if you know Excel formulas, it's pretty simple there, right? You will see very much. You can start with the thing with the data here already. Which one did we create? Let's say phone underscore books was the one we created. Phone books was the one that I already had with the data. So let's just play with that data that we already had. Let's watch the time here. It's 9:48 for me. In another minute, you will see the app is ready where you can actually add the data, create the data, upload the data, edit the data and stuff like that. So that's basically the magic and it's ready like 9:49. Within a minute, you have your app ready. That's the promise of this particular platform, right? Let's go look at start testing it, right? Sorry for the font here. I don't make it big, but that's pretty much what the concept here is right now. Let's say you want to add something more, say lady 3. The same data entry that I was doing there. Once done, doesn't want to leave us. Hello.com. Sorry, that was not the email. This is the email. And then pretty much that's what your app would do here. Now remember, I did not get the opportunity to go update the image. It's a simple tweak here. You can come and edit. Look at the orientation here. If I don't want to see the image, I can just go and say, I just want this view, which is basically just the name and the email. But instead, if I want to keep the image, I'll just go choose this layout. And then here I know this is the image portion of it where I can say I want to add an image, right? So once you are on this screen, you can go and edit it to make it look like this. So instead of that, I will say I want to have an edit image screen. I will land here and then go look at how to add that image here quickly. Okay,
There are some questions coming up, Shri. Would you like to take some questions?
sure.
So the
I'll pause here.
yeah, the first one is how do you collaborate when developing a Power App as a team?
That's an interesting thing here. You can actually go back. Let's just save this for now. And you can actually go back and see here that you will have multiple versions of the app. Which one did we create? Do you remember? This is 2 minutes ago. So let's take a look here. So if you look at the details here, you can see multiple versions here. So you can work on one version and check in that version. And the next person coming in can check out that version and start working. And unless it's published, it will still say stay there as the version 2, right? It's not going to live. And once you think you are ready for this, you can go and publish this version. Now we do not yet support co-authoring where two people can work on the same app. As you must have known, even with PowerPoint, working on the same slide is a nightmare today because you would add a button and that person would come and remove that button. But we are working on that. It's a long pending ask on the platform to allow those kind of joint collaboration scenarios where 10 people are working on the app. But look at this. The whole point here is not to build massive apps that take 6 months to build. The concept here is apps that take 1 minute to build or probably like a week to build at max, right? Something of that sort where somebody can just go in and quickly build those applications.
I think again, he asked the question on how can you set up different environments like the test and development stage and production, that kind of thing.
Very interesting question here. So that brings me to show you another demo, what is called as Power Platform Admin Center. Just like the Microsoft Admin Center for where you manage licenses, you have something called as a Power Platform Admin Center. You just have to go type admin.powerapps.com and it will take you to that particular admin platform. Once you are on this environment, what I wanted to show is an environment. Think about environment as a box inside of which you will keep these resources like apps, automate flows, virtual agents and stuff. So if you will have one box for your testing and one box for your production, which is where all the production data will be. And even from data separation perspective, you don't want to mix production data with test data, right? So you will keep all of them in different environments here. So in our admin center, you can see the administrative experience where you can see different types of environment. You can see this is all like dummy test environments that I maintain. So you can see a production environment, and then I have my team's environment, which is the one that we were building this application on. And then you will have test environments as well that you want to call it out right here. So when you go and create your environment, you can actually create a whole environment where you can create a test environment as well. And that's where you will have typically test it. Then you will go put it into a staging or a UAT or where you do final user acceptance testing, and then finally promote it to a production environment here. So for that, I will have to kind of show you much more things about how to make something in one environment, package it as a solution, and then kind of deploy it and move it. And like you can export it as zip file, import it into the new UIT environment, and then there you can test it. Once it's done and tested, then you will again package it and zip it, and then promote the package version to production. But most likely you won't actually do the changes in UAT. You will actually go back to your test environment and dev environment to go make the changes and again bring it back, right? It's like a hop. Every time you miss a hop or you find a bug, you will go back to the starting phase and do it again so that you make sure nothing is regressed by fixing that.
Okay. All right. So Hakan, the third question for Hakan, and Hakan is also a community leader in Sweden user group. So Hakan, big shout out. The third question he asked was on how to handle source control.
I think I just showed you the versions, right? Those versions are the ones that we have. And then there's also a blog of how you can check it into like a CI/CD, the full-fledged continuous integration and continuous deployment strategy. But remember, you are in the cloud already. It's already checked in. The source control, the app itself is your source, and all the source that you're talking about is just the formulas that you put into there. So if you look at the app itself, that's where you will actually have the source already there. And because of your versioning, you can actually go and trace the differences between what was done version 1 and version 3 and stuff like that.
Okay. So there was a question I asked, will Power App replace Excel? Because we are creating all those kind of automating and generating all these formulas, and it's kind of Excel. So will it replace Excel in the future?
No, definitely not. They're meant for two different purposes. Excel is just basically for data collection and data analysis, whereas app is basically for so usually Excels are basically meant for you to do the number churning and collection of data and then share it out with other people to see the data. But the app creation is a different perspective altogether, where you are creating a digital automation process where the end user does not need to know how your data is schema is, whether you have an email, whether you have like how you're storing the picture and stuff like that. You are just like making it much more simpler for your end users to enter the data into it, right? Plus, how often have you seen Excel data getting corrupted because somebody went and overwrote somebody else's data or row and stuff like that? To avoid those scenarios is where you will try to do an application story here. Totally different thing, I would say. If Excel is for productivity suite, Power Apps is for your digital transformation, where you're enabling end user processes to be automated faster.
Okay, great one. I'm seeing one from Kofi. He says, "How do you get your foot in the door on the Power Platform if your organization uses an alternative suite like Google Workspace instead of Microsoft 365?" What are the platforms available to folks with just a private Microsoft email?
That's a good one. So with just a private email, you won't get anything at this point. But remember, you can always go to powerapps.com a year and sign up for a trial to get your foot into the door. You will see start free, and that's where you go and get started, I would say. Yes, and it's up to you how you want to put your foot and then get yourself all into this thing. And of course, at some point you will have to shell some money to get at least the Microsoft license, the Office license to get started with, which is worth with what you will get the Office Teams. And then from there you can actually build, depending on your needs, you will have to kind of buy different licenses for your end users. Remember, making of the apps is free, is the usage that is going to be requiring licenses.
Okay.
You don't need a license other than Office license to make the applications.
Oh,
I would
okay.
just add in one more thing here, and do that free with the trial license, which runs for 30 days, I guess, and use a business case of whatever business problem you're solving, create an app, and sell that to your business unit or whoever needs to approve it. So there you create a business case, get it approved, and then move on to the next stage.
Okay.
Correct.
Great. Great. There's one last question I can ask. I used to know that limitation, but I don't know if it has been resolved or added. That can you invite external users outside of your organization AD to use your apps? I know some years ago that it was limited, but I don't know for now for sure. I don't know.
So we do have B2B scenarios where you can actually get other tenant, other company that has Power Apps license. You can share them if if your organizations have the trust, but you cannot invite others with just a Gmail account or just somebody who doesn't have a organizational account without Microsoft 365.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
the good thing with Power Apps here is if that organization already has a Power Apps license, yeah, you don't need to buy another license in this particular company from where you're actually inviting that user. So it kind of works automatically.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and then this is one interesting thing I wanted to show you. Inside of here itself, we also have something called as Power Virtual Agent. So I'll quickly show you something where I have a topic like you can quickly go here and start building your particular application where and start testing it right inside the thing here. I built something out to quickly show you like from automate, you can start a simple topic like phone, and then let's test it out. For example, I'll show you how this works, saying hi, and it will give me the standard reading. Uh-oh, something broke. Let me
Okay.
just see what happened just now. All right, some weird stuff going on here. But let's just start a new topic here, right? Just to give an example here. So first you need to check, kind of choose the trigger phrases. Basically, how do you invoke the particular bot, right? So I'll just say hello bot. And then once you do that, you can actually add multiple instead. If you say, I want to say hello Siri, those kind of things all can also be said. And once you say, uh, the standard greetings come out, and then you can actually use, you know, who is logged in here, because I know I am Office user that I logged in here with. So here it automatically knows that context, and instead I'll say, how are you, Mr. or Miss Office user, right? Something like that. And then once you think this is ready, and then you will start saving it and testing it. Hope the problem does not come up again. And then you say hi. And then you can see how are you, Mr. Office user, right? Those kind of phrases come up here. So I had already created some topics. Let me see what happened here. Why it doesn't like me now. So this is the one. Let's see if it triggers now. Okay, I think it's working now. So
Yes.
this trigger phrase here was phone. So let's see, phone book is basically what I was looking at. And what I've done here is it goes and says, do you want to see the number of contacts in that particular data? And I say yes, and then it will go run a flow Power Automate, which I wired up right here itself, right here. And then it tells me there are 4 contacts in the particular history. So what it does is basically I have wired up the Power Virtual Agent with a Power Automate to go run the query, get the data, and then pass it back to me. So you can see very much like the Power Automate here that ran. And then if I go and edit and show you what was done, what we have done here, looked at what is the input coming from Power Virtual Agent. I can pass variable from Power Virtual Agent, list the number of rows in the expense tracker that I had there, and then came back and looked at, hey, what is the length of the number of things that are there inside of it? Whatever is the list body, I just took a formula. So this one is like very much like an Excel formula, understand the length and kind of dump that value in there and it will start returning it. And you don't need to memorize these formulas. You can go look at the various videos that Samit was talking about to kind of get to know what type of formulas you will use, right?
I think there is one question also. It says, can I use the Power Virtual Agent bot on any website or only Microsoft accounts or domains?
It's basically a Power Virtual Agent. You will have to use it inside of the Microsoft tenant with Microsoft products. It's not like a standard professional bot that you can take a package and deploy it anywhere. For that, you probably should look at what Azure Bots is providing you there. That will require professional coding. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but nothing stops you from putting a link into your product to kind of go and launch this Power Virtual Agent, which will go and launch this Power Virtual Agent as long as the user is signed into the account.
Okay. All right. Chesko, I hope you are okay with that. Okay.
Yeah, and then the inbuilt analytics, like once you build the Power Apps, you can see I don't have much review or views or people using these particular apps. That's why. But if you see a typical picture, you can see how many people use the app on a particular day, how much apps were launched by different platform on an Android phone, on a Windows phone, iPhone, and stuff like that. And then you can see the number of active users. Basically, that's what tells you how your app is being used. That's how the metrics that you will use to understand how your app is being adopted by the thing here, right? So all of that data you can actually go and see in the Power Apps scenario, and you can actually go and look at the analytics views that would be in a typical Canvas app kind of a thing that I can show you probably in a few minutes. Let me go back here and see if I can show you. So in the apps view itself, you can actually see the details, and under the details, you will see the analytics preview here. Of course, I don't have much usage here, so you won't see much data coming through, but that's where you will see the data. Okay.
All right. Indeed,
All right.
it's yes. All right. So I think indeed it's been a great section, and so soon it's like it's appearing to me like we've just started because I love the questions that our attendees are asking, but obviously an hour will not cover everything about Power Platform and Teams. So thank you, guys. I think I have to say this, that there's a wonderful book out there, and our two speakers are co-authors. So you should go out there and look. If you can share your book so that they see. Do you have your cover page for your book there?
I do have it in front of me. I can show you. I don't know how it will appear in the camera.
Okay,
So.
good, good. The digital future. So viewers out there, go and grab that book. I'm recommending it. Really insightful, and the information in there are wonderful. So I would like to say a big thank you for all the attendees and also the speakers that passed through. In fact, I've really enjoyed the section. And I'd like to say, yes, I'm seeing our community leader on video now, Abu Konde. Say hi.
Hi,
Okay.
I've been here since. I've been enjoying the session.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Very
Wonderful.
good session. Can we do it again? We love the.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and it was really a pleasure to talk to you all, and it's good to have that interaction going on from the community and asking those questions. It's brilliant. Somebody asked a question about whether you can get the slides, so I'll leave it to you, Ernest. You have the version of our slides, so.
Okay. I will share this the slide on all the platforms so you can grab it. Yes. So, yes, it's been a great pleasure to share this event with our attendees and our speakers as well. We most appreciate your time spent with us. I'm seeing someone raise his hand, so let me take.
I think the attendees should come on video so that we take some group picture.
Let me first of all take his question. I think he wants me to unmute him to talk. So let me just quickly do that before they come on video. Just a second. Okay. All right. So Kofi, just a second. I will let you come on. All right. So your mic is enabled. You can ask your question, please.
So thank you very much. This is really the first time I'm joining a session like this, and my career is more like I have a similar story to that of Sam, so I kind of see where he's coming from. And believe me when I say that the Power Platform has literally saved my job and then even the livelihood of my family. At the moment,
you can come on video also. Feel free to come on video.
Oh, okay. So at the moment, I'm actually leading a transformation for my organization. I just wanted to like ask the experts about this. So we have a chatbot that's like a help desk in our organization. So and it's deployed in Microsoft Teams. The problem we are having is that there is a link that sends our users to Microsoft Bookings, right, for them to book custom training with our guys. Now the thing is that once like the links transfer them out of Microsoft Teams, they don't come back to fill their customer satisfaction rating. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So I just wanted to find out from the experts if there is any way that we could actually display web links in Microsoft Teams. I personally haven't been able to figure a way out.
Can you come again with a question just to get clear?
I just wanted to find out from my experts whether they know of a way that we could actually open web links in Microsoft Teams, right? Or maybe in the deployed chat bot in Microsoft Teams, so that users will stay entirely on Microsoft Teams, other than going to their browsers to perform tasks that has been assigned to them. I don't know if the question is very right.
Okay. All right. So I'm saying you can come on video as well. We would like to also know your story. So yes, this is a question. If our expert answers it, we would like to also know your story to also, I mean, encourage and motivate other attendees who are out there. So yes, who is speaking the question here?
Hi, welcome.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
yes.
Some
So
people are
Siri,
still joining.
yes, Siri, will you answer that, or we go to Lippy? The question here.
Yeah, I think I can answer that.
Okay.
So I believe, let me share my screen here.
Okay.
And let me know if I understood the question correctly, because I believe what is asking is if you have like a link, powerapps.com, that I just show here, and somebody clicks this link, it takes you outside of the team into a browser and then does not bring it back. So that's correct. So I think Microsoft Teams, and I'm not an expert on Microsoft Teams per se, or the Microsoft expert of all the product we have on Office 365, but we are building something called as Office Cards, which is a Teams card where we will have things like allowing you to stay within the Teams experience for applications, because they need to be able to adjust into the Teams. Browser is a very big area that you can think about rendering everything that is possible in browser inside of the Teams thing. But what you're looking for is, once the Teams cards are out, and something where we can actually bring those scenarios in Teams thing, you should be able to load that particular scenario. I cannot promise that it will all work, but at least we are working towards direction where, just like the apps and stuff that you are looking at, like for example, the files, I don't know what's going on with my mouse here, but if you look under the file section, you will see Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, and everything's loading within the Teams itself. But getting the browser in itself may be a big thing yet. We have not thought about that yet.
Okay, okay. I think that gives us insight and hope that that feedback has been taken into consideration.
Yep.
Yes, yes. So yes, copy. Okay, so I hope you're okay with that, and we would also love you to share your story, just as Sam shared his story. What was your story? How did it started?
Okay, so I actually got to be introduced to Microsoft assets by a friend. So I also happen to actually work in the oil and gas industry, and for them it's money. Let's measure how you're able to let's measure how you're able to bring us money, essentially. So the organization wanted to, and I had been I have a fair, I like fidgeting with stuff. So then there was an organizational challenge that we are going to buy an employee help desk for the IT team. So I happened to heard of something like that. I didn't necessarily know a lot about the Power Platform, but so most of the, like, when I try finding a way to do something, I always get a lot of options from Microsoft. So I didn't know anything about that, but I kind of told my boss that I think Microsoft will be able to have something like this for us, and it was thrown as a challenge. So the architecture of it is that so the chatbot will essentially collect all the details that you want, and then Power Automate will send it to a database data table. So then users can even follow up. And then it was seamless because you could just pick users' names without them necessarily typing in their names and all of that. So and we were also, the organization was using a Microsoft 365 already. So we were able to build that and then scale it across the organization, and our IT manager was very, very impressed. And it was during the time I was fresh from school. I didn't know anything. So the company kind of trusted me, like, oh, okay, well, and I think this guy is up to someone. But just as I said, I have never been even an average student. It was way below that. So it's kind of, if I can do that, and certainly I know there are other smart folks around that could really start picking this up, and then the opportunities are really endless.
All right.
So that's
Good,
my
good,
story. I got
good.
to keep my job.
Okay. We hope you'll be joining us more often when we are hosting program here. We appreciate you sharing your wonderful story. This goes to say that yes, Microsoft's platform is huge and is taking all your digital transformation concerns into its product. Yes, I also see Alfred. Yes, Alfred, you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. Kindly do. So, Alfred, if you can hear me, unmute yourself. You can come on video as well.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Alfred. Yes.
Thank you so much for this session. Lady Ruth, I think we were mates from Gimpa. I don't remember you, but I don't remember where, but I remember we were mates somewhere. Thank you so much for the link. I am looking at using Power Apps to create digital forms for my customer service unit. So last year, I used
Okay, I think his internet is having a little bit issue.
Okay.
Yeah. Alfred, if you can hear me.
I believe we should let him drive and not do digital transformation while driving.
Or maybe someone is driving. Okay, Alfred, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you repeat yourself?
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can now. Can you repeat yourself?
Okay, so yes, so I was saying that last year I tried using Jot Forms to digitize paper forms at my customer service department or unit.
Okay.
So we had forms that customers come to the center and complete to make requests for services and products. I'm also in the energy industry, oil and gas, oil marketing industry.
Okay.
And we have forms for customers to fill. So I propose to use these jot forms. But at a point, legally, we had a challenge with the jurisdiction because the data was not going to be stored in Ghana. And for my company, we had a challenge with that. So we researched, my team researched, and we noticed we could use Power Apps. But just when we created the forms, we noticed that when we deployed the forms, customers were required to log in with Microsoft accounts before they could sign up the forms. We created the forms with Canvas, Power Apps Canvas. And recently we found out that we are not to use Canvas, but we have to use Power Apps Portal. So I don't know if you can help or if I can get assistance after this session, maybe when it's suitable for the gurus among us who can assist me. The whole idea is to convert paper forms, which we already have converted in jot forms, but we had to put it on hold because of the legal jurisdiction of the data. Then what will happen is that when the customers complete these forms are supposed to be saved as PDFs, converted to PDFs and stored in SharePoint, so that the different departments that or different actors in the flow would be able to vet the request, act on them, and then would have a repository for these forms, and so that they can be archived, they can be approved. And these forms contain electronic signatures. So we bought some Samsung tablets that customers could, after completing the forms in person, sign these forms on the tablets using the stylus. And then those who would like to complete the forms on our website could also do that, on our website. But we've hit a snag because we are unable to get, or it's not every user that has a Microsoft account. So I don't know if anyone can assist. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alfred. Thank you for your question. Thank you for joining us as well. Expect to address that. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, so Alfred, yeah, Portal is one way of definitely using it. Did you say, have you used Microsoft Forms yet?
Yes, we've deployed Office 365.
Yep.
So we're using yeah.
Because Microsoft Forms is really good as well. If you haven't used it, that's definitely what we use sometimes.
No, Microsoft Forms doesn't allow us to. I'm sorry, but Microsoft Forms doesn't allow us to insert, for example, a signature input file or input object, and then some other, radio button selections. And we would like to put some controls. For example, if you select the payment method, Momo or bank or cash, it should hide, for example, hide a certain section and reveal another section.
Yeah, and that's where Portal
Jot forms had these conditions.
Yeah, Portal is also needed because you want people outside your organizations to be able to use it. So for such scenarios, it is always advised to start with Portal. And I pasted the link to geographies where Power Platform is deployed. So Portal is part of the Power Platform, as you must have seen on the screen. We do not cover that in detail because Portal does require specific templates to choose, and there is still a lot of options that we can cover there. And then the link that I pasted gives you different sovereign countries where Power Platform is available, and we keep all the data locally to that particular geography. Now, Ghana in itself, when we have data center, we will be surely coming there and deploying it. For now, the closest one for you will be South Africa, which is where we have the Azure data center, which is where we are deployed.
Okay. So you're saying I should use the portal, right?
Yes. Especially from licensing perspective and the controls that you want to play with dynamically, that portal will give you much more flexibility and the licensing aspect of allowing non-authenticated users to be able to use the forms outside of your organization, right?
Okay.
Thank you. I'll try it out.
Okay, so I think we can be talking more, Alfred, after this program. Unfortunately, this is what time will allow us. So I would like to also thank all the great speakers who spoke today. And in fact, it's a pleasure to host you, Lipi Saka, Sri Kumane, and Samit Sani. It's been a wonderful section, and thank you guys for joining us today. I think more of this will be coming. There will be a link for the feedback of this section. I will urge everyone to give us the feedback so we could input it into our next event. Stay tuned. There are global boot camps coming up on this same platform, and we would love to bring all the experts on board for you to channel your questions to. So any last words from my speakers before we wrap up?
Look forward to hear more questions if you have. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity, and peace and love to everyone.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. And I've given my details if you want to follow up more on that, Ruth and Ernst, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to connect you to, if not myself, I'll be happy to connect you to the teams that will get you the answers that you're looking for.
Okay.
I pasted my details here.
Great to have that. Okay, so it's been a wonderful section. On behalf of the crew of Microsoft User Group Ghana, I would like to say a big thank you to all attendees. It doesn't stop here. You can get me on LinkedIn or Twitter. We can pick it up. If you have any other questions that you would want us to get you an expert, we will do that. That's what we are into. The community is here to help solve these challenges, and I like Alfred's question. We would like to take it up a bit further from here because we are limited with time here. So on behalf of the crew, thank you for spending your weekend with us, and I will say a very goodbye and good weekend to you all. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye. Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Lipi. Nice meeting you. Bye, Sammy. I loved your story. I think I'm going to challenge myself to be a citizen developer.
Thank you.
Ruth, don't laugh at me. Ruth, don't laugh at me. Ruth,